sometimes we're not seeking help because we think what we're experiencing is normal. Just because we can cope with it, we think that it's healthy. We can never fight our parts or push them away, or like, okay, just go away from my body or go away from my mind. The more you fight it, the more it will be stronger and wanting to be seen. So when you're not acknowledging pain mentally and spiritually, the pain itself, it will talk from our physique.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Doesn't matter what time you're watching this. Welcome to the episode of Learning Living, where we are going to learn different aspects, many different things about how we can increase our quality of life. Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own aspirations. They have their goals that they want to achieve. But in our journey of living our life, we always face challenges. And sometimes in that journey, there are things that we want to improve, certain aspect of our life, certain aspect of our skills, maybe our characteristics, anything that we believe it will help us to increase our quality of life. It will increase our effectiveness in living our life. And we have an amazing guest. We have Raden Prisya.
Hello, Mas Ali.
Holistic health coach.
Yes, holistic health coach. It's actually it's a very recent term that I just changed to my title. So it used to be a mindfulness practitioner, but now as I learn about more things, so I just realized that being mindful is also related to spiritual and physical health. So yeah, okay, wait for our talk and where we're going.
Yeah, so physical and mental, you said.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's start first by, can you explain what does it mean, holistic health coach? Let's start from there.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't known me before, let me introduce myself. My name is Raden Prisya, and I was actually a Bachelor of Interior Design, but after I suffered from postpartum depression, I pursue my interest in wellness and healing and health. Well, when talking about health, what I'm trying to say is something that is very holistic. It's not just about physical health, but also how we are spiritually, how is our state mentally, and also when we're talking about something that is more purposeful. Yeah, it's something that you are very passionate to talk about, right, Masya? And well, talking about holistic health, why did I change my direction from mindfulness to holistic health? Because I just realized that when we're talking about our health, it's impossible to separate them. It's impossible to separate about our quality of sleep, quality of nutrition with what we're thinking. So even if we're like doing sports, maybe frequently, or maybe we have good quality of sleep, if we have something that still bother us mentally, well, the sleep or the nutrition, it can be absorbed, but not maximally. It's not going to be something that is really helpful, because what you have mentally, in any way, it will bother you.
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah. So let's start with an example of somebody named, let's say her name is Susie. So Susie is a very healthy person. So she always arrange her menu. She always arrange her exercise schedule.
So we're talking like healthy as physical.
Yes.
Now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But she has this challenging relationship with her husband, or maybe she has this certain responsibility towards her children. Maybe her children has this certain condition. Is it like maybe ADHD, or maybe like she has like asthma or something like that? Well, Susie might be doing whatever she can to emphasize the quality of life. But if she doesn't explore or listen to herself about what she truly feels about the condition in her life, what she's been thinking or what she's suppressing, it can also be a disease at the end. Yeah, like, well, one of my teacher, his name is Pak Merta Ade. He's very famous. He's a meditation teacher. And one example that he told me was when a person suppressed the thinking, and when they're not able to explore, or they're not able to listen, they're not able to map or maybe acknowledge, it could lead to Alzheimer, it could lead to dementia.
Wow.
Yeah, and even tuberculosis. It has something about creativity that isn't expressed. Yeah.
So it's so one thing is from what we consume.
Yes.
It can affect our our mental our mental state, our mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
it goes both ways.
Yes. So why did I change my direction from just mindfulness to holistic health? Because I just realized how mindfulness could really affect the mental health, and also how it could also emphasize our spiritual health. So we're not just talking about our condition physically, but also we think about what we've been thinking. Is there any stress involved? So there's this one name, Mas Ali. I call you Mas in Indonesian. It's like brother. So there's this name named Abu Zaid al-Balkhi. Abu Zaid al-Balkhi is one of the Muslim scholars that has this book that he wrote called The Sustenance of the Soul.
The sustenance
of the soul.
Of the soul.
Yes. So this book is actually explaining about how do we take care of ourselves. And he was saying something like the scholars and the physicians in that era, they always ask whenever somebody comes and then like asking what happened to my health, they always ask, is there anything that you're stressed about? Is there anything that bothers your mind? Is there anything that you've been thinking that you hasn't been able to let go? Is there anything that you hasn't forgave yet? Yeah. And that's actually something that's really, it can really bother our mind. Frequent headaches. Frequent headaches.
Yeah.
Is actually something that is coming from overthinking. And even here, breathing that isn't light. Like, have you ever had this experience of breathing where you feel like, yeah.
Like shallow kind of thing?
Yes, like it's heavy breathing. It's very much related to heartache, actually. When you're thinking about something you're really sad about, you always do this kind of breathing. Right? And actually, if you take some time to like have a little moment with yourself and breathe more slowly, it can actually help. But the main thing about emotional problems is because you never aim to acknowledge that pain. So when you're not acknowledging pain mentally and spiritually, the pain itself, it will talk from our physique.
Like it will manifest in the form of physical disease.
Yes. Yes. Something. Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate is one of my like spiritual teacher. I never met him before, but all his research, they're all magnificent. He once said about cancer and the relation of cancer to delusion of control. This is one of.
In what way? That's fascinating.
Wanting to be able to control things, wanting to be able to hold things to what they really wanted. So this is really related to our relationship with God at the end of the day. I consider myself, I'm a Muslim, I consider myself a spiritual person in my own way. Being able to let go of our control, it also means tawheed. Tawheed means really believe in God and let Him do whatever that pleases Him for the sake of our own good.
For the sake of our own good.
Yes. So this is why from mindfulness it changes to holistic health, because from what we just talked about, it has already explained how this all three aspects has really related to one another.
I want to ask about how to do it, but before that, I want to go back a bit further.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned earlier that you studied interior design.
Yes.
Right? But then you shifted, and if I'm not mistaken, it has something to do with your experience after you gave birth with postpartum depression. Can you, if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about the shift from the first shift before the shift from mindfulness to holistic health?
So, talking about depression, I think God works in really mysterious ways in giving us this knowledge and awareness about how to take care of ourselves. And sometimes we need to experience something really bad in order to be aware of what He's trying to talk to us about. In my case, it's depression. So depression isn't just something like certain sadness or like very deep grief. It's not just about that. It's not being able to wake up from your bed for hours and not being able to feel any emotions. It's sad or happy. And in my case, it was something that felt like wanting to get away from everything. So it's diagnosable, so don't diagnose yourself, of course. But one thing that motivated me that time was that I needed to show up for my children. Like I had no choice other than to heal and be healthy for them.
Was it your first child?
Actually, I realized that I had depression when I had both. When I have two children already. Yeah. So I seek help.
So, sorry. So you realized? Does that mean you already felt it for a while?
Yes.
But you didn't realize
Yes.
it? Okay.
So it's been a while. I didn't really know how long had it been at that time, but it was quite a while. So I decided to seek help from psychologists, from psychiatrists, and then from holistic healers. So I seek a lot of options at that time.
But you mentioned about not wanting to wake up from bed for several hours.
Yes.
Can you share? You talk about the reason why you wanted to seek help. One of them is because of your kids.
I need to show up for my children.
Right.
Yes.
Even though to think about it. Forgive me for saying this. I'm just saying this because I want to ask something.
Yeah.
Well, you've already have children, but it took a while to get to that realization, right?
Yeah.
I need to do this to show up for my kids. But what happened? Is there something that triggers you to start to switch your perspective, to switch your mindset in that way?
Because I think mothers tend to feel like they don't really deserve to be taken care of. Like, I have a very, very kind husband, and I really appreciate him for all of that, everything that he's done for me. But at that time, maybe I just felt like maybe this pain, this not being aware and not being able to really take care of myself is something normal. That's what I thought at the time. I thought that was something normal. Being tired, not really being able to feel, I thought that was normal. Well, one thing about humans, we are all given this ability to adapt from God. So sometimes we think what we normally feel is something that is healthy. Yeah. Something that we think we're able to cope with. It's not always something that is healthy, right?
But if you just reflect a little bit, I mean, now that you're here, right?
Yes.
If you reflect, what was it that you think that made you think that it was normal? Do you know?
Maybe I just used to that. Just used to that feeling of numbness, to that feeling of not feeling.
Like it's like the familiar.
Yes. Yes. So maybe it's just me, or maybe it's some people, but sometimes we're not seeking help because we think what we're experiencing is normal. Just because we can cope with it, we think that it's healthy. But it's not always like that. So one thing that made the shift for me was that I felt like I was so emotionally unstable at that time, and I just felt like I needed to control my emotions. So whenever I could control my emotion in front of my children, and then I couldn't control my emotion towards my husband, and it's all like it just switched from one thing to another. So I decided to seek help so I can control my emotions. That was my first trigger. And it's been a while actually. The first time I realized that situation was, I think, about 2016, and now it's already 2024. So between 2016 to 2024, I've been in a lot of classes, I've been in a lot of healing sessions, I've been in a lot of seminars. But now I'm taking the certification since 2021 until 2025. And I just felt like all these things that I have learned, it actually had these dots that are connected to one another. Yeah. So this is the conclusion. Like, the most simple conclusion that I can give is actually our spiritual, our mental, and our physic, they're all related to one another. They all created your physical well-being, like your spiritual and mental well-being that create you as a whole. And that is the condition that will brought so much ease in doing the life that you wanted. That is the life that is really purposeful. So you're not just thinking about one side of you, you're also thinking about the other side of you and the parts of you that are here.
Can you share a little bit as well? Because now you're a practitioner, you teach this to others.
Yes.
There must be like a journey towards there, because at first it was you experiencing something, then negative, and the depression, and then you decided that, okay, I need to seek help.
Yeah.
And then you did.
Yeah.
So of course the impact of that help, at first you feel it for yourself, before then you decided to teach for others.
Yes.
But what was it that like the practice, maybe the actual things that you did that you felt, or that you feel it start to help you to heal gradually, I imagine. But what was it that you did?
So I took this certification from Virginia. It was called Workplace Mindfulness Facilitator. Workplace Mindfulness Facilitator. And that was the thing that brought me into corporate training. So I did some corporate training right now, regularly. And also for communities. Well, it was actually called Workplace Mindfulness, but the thing about it is that it shows how mindfulness is related to productivity. So speaking about productivity, it could apply to anyone, individual, to communities, to corporates. And so I'm actually pursuing this education called Focusing, Inner Relationship Focusing, in Florida. So it's in Berkeley, California. And I'm now a student practitioner in Focusing. And talking about focusing, I think it's just how we listen to ourselves. And how we understand the signals that are showing from our body. Because like talking about spiritual and mental health, it's always something that you can see from the body. So the body is something that, it's like a canvas. It's like a canvas, and spiritually, mentally, it's something that you draw inside that canvas, right? It's like something you draw on that canvas. And to see if you're mentally stable, you're spiritually stable, your body will show it. Your body will show it. Like during the depression, I had a really, really bad gastric reflux, and I had frequent headaches, and I had, I always feel nauseous whenever I was feeling, or like I just approaching with something that is really surprising, really shocking. I got nauseous immediately. So it's actually coming from my own experience. But speaking of how I meet clients every day now, it's also related to how they're feeling. So it's something that is really, it shows up. This pattern, this relation, it shows up in many of us. But many of us just didn't realize that.
But what was it that you did that helped you to heal at that time?
Well, I took sessions to help me heal myself. I met incredible teachers. One of them is the late Mas Reza Gunawan. Yeah, so I learned a lot from him about talking to clients, about helping clients, about our boundaries with clients, and how do we communicate, and what can we expect and what not can we expect.
Sorry, but before for your clients, when you work on yourself first, was there any any routines that you did or anything?
Actually, yes, but it's something that evolves. So routines doesn't have to be something that you have to do permanently, except if you have religions and you have to do something permanently, then you have to do it. But talking about mental routines, physical routines, you have to seek the signals from your body before you do it. Because maybe at that time, one time of sports and exercise in a week is already enough for me. Because I was very, in Indonesian it's called mager. Mager is like, it's really hard for us to move. Well, I just...
too lazy to move.
Yeah, too lazy to move. So one time of sports, or maybe just walking around the complex of my house is already enough for that time. But now I have to do weightlifting, I have to do Pilates, I have to do sports at least 3 times a week. Because my body is already able to do that. So the thing that I can tell you is, start listening to yourself about the signals and the messages that it's giving you. Because one time to another, you can have really different needs.
And how do you listen to that?
The first thing that I can show you to do is journaling, writing.
Okay.
Try to write down what you're going to do in one day or a week, and maybe in 3 months. And is there any goal that you want to achieve? So maybe in 3 months, you would like to be, well, it's not just about sports. It can also be, I don't want to be angry as much as I am now. So you do the goal setting, and then you divide to 3 months. And each month, what would you like to do? And maybe I want to meditate. I want to meditate at least once a day. Or maybe I want to take a breath once before I change to another routine with my kids. Or maybe I want to take a breath right before I meet my boss. So I won't be so triggered. Yeah. And then you start doing that. And then you write. You write, what did I do today? And what did I feel afterwards? And you would check, is it enough for me right now? Is it something that it's what I really needed right now? Or should I change something to another thing? And then you write that down.
Do you have any suggestions for someone who have never done this before? Like what possible challenges maybe that persons might face in the first time they want to journal?
Having a teacher is actually really helpful. Having a mentor, even though you cannot, well, in Indonesia, I have this class for journaling and for self-awareness. But maybe you who's listening to this, maybe you're in Canada, maybe you're in US, maybe you're in Singapore, maybe you should find a teacher that will bring you closer to awareness. Maybe not just journaling, maybe meditation, maybe mindfulness, maybe a sports trainer. So talking about spiritual, mental, and physical, or maybe a religion master or like a scholar, because one thing will lead to another. What's the closest to you? Maybe spiritually, like spiritual teacher is very near to you. Come to them first. And when you're doing routines spiritually, somehow it will lead to another thing physically and mentally. Afterwards, maybe you've learned one or two things from them, and then you feel like, okay, I need more challenges. Maybe you come to a sports trainer. So you're spiritually adequate, hopefully, and you're also physically adequate, because one thing leads to another.
It's like all these three are connected, like one single system in a way.
And these three aspects is like the simplest description. Like we have like this microbiome thing, we have this energetical body thing, but that's too complicated. So just call it physical, mental, spiritual. One thing you learn leads to another.
An improvement in one aspect is going to affect the others. And a decrease of quality in one aspect is also going to affect the others.
And you know, what's more interesting, how we really attract one aspect in our body to another aspect. It's something that's really related, because even a person in one room could really attract another person in that room energetically, even they say nothing. So imagine what's happening in your body when one aspect is increased. All aspects will also be increased as well, as long as you have the awareness to listen to the changes in your body.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like whether it's meditation or journaling, and I think there are other things, there are other methods that we can use to help us to listen. The message that, or the signals that comes from within.
I would like to give one example as well. Like these days, there's something called Tre. Tre is like an emotional release technique, and also somatic experiencing, and also spinal energetics. It's the processes that are done, some of them are done physically, but they are aimed for trauma healing. So can you imagine how our physical movement can actually raise the energetical aspects in your body that is related to trauma?
Interesting. This reminds me of tapping as well. Tapping, like even me personally, I mean, I do my meditation, and but I also regularly do tapping, and I really, I felt the difference between meditation without and tapping, and with, when I started to add that in my routines. I felt the difference, and there was a time when, for a while, I didn't do tapping, and then I felt the decrease as well. And, okay, I need to get back on track with this.
That's so relatable, right? And in my experience, physical endurance, because I do weightlifting, I do CrossFit exercises. I just feel like the endurance of my my body when I do heavy lifting, it's all related to my endurance emotionally. Like those of you who feel like you're very easy to be triggered, perhaps you can try increasing your physical endurance. Before we talk about trauma, before we talk about wounds in our hearts, try to increase the endurance of your physique. And if you feel like something really bothers you, you can seek help professionally if you feel like you need to.
This reminds me of a doctor, a medical doctor, who told me that, well, physical and mental health is very much related, and you can use it as an analogy for one to another. He told me that, like, mentally, there are some psychological challenges that we're facing from time to time. Sometimes it's not that big that we can take care of ourselves. Sometimes it's too big for ourselves right now, or our ability to cope is not that high yet with this kind of mental challenges. So we need to seek help. And he said that same as with physical, like medical doctor, like there are some disease that we can take care of ourselves. But there are some disease, even us as doctors, we need to go to a doctor because we cannot operate a surgery for ourselves. We need the help of other doctors as well, because some cases, if it's too big or too hard to handle ourselves, it's okay to seek help of professionals. And it's common on physical health, but when it comes to mental health,
Yeah, we tend to feel like, okay, I have to be able to deal with this myself. But if we think about it even further, something that we mentally feel could really affect our mental health, our physical health. More than physical health could affect the mental health. So it's something that we really need to look upon these days.
It can be like a vicious circle that if we just ignore it.
Yes, especially in this era, this Gen Z Alpha era, where information stays spread around like crazy. So our brains has very little time to rest these days, and it makes us even more tired. So can you imagine when you're tired, perhaps you're not able to just be in a challenge. If you're tired, you won't think or even mention about challenges that you have in your life. You just want to rest. Right?
I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore. So imagine when you're tired all the time. So,
even just listening to you say, like my body language just like drop.
So imagine what we can do if we can be mindful, so we can know how to rest and how to rest better, when to rest, how to rest better. So we have time to think about, what should I do with my body? What should I do with my mind? What should I do with my spirit? Because if we're tired, we won't be able to think about it. We're just like, whatever. So, so if I can conclude all this, it's really interesting. Thank you for this conversation. Taking care of yourself, being able to rest, the basic needs, food, and also rest and nutrition, sports, and really spiritual rituals. Think about that as a routine that you want to do to take care of yourself. So whenever there's challenges, you know better how to manage that. Why do we have to practice mindfulness? So we can be mindful when there are difficulties. We shouldn't talk about practicing of being grateful and being mindful when we have challenges. It's going to be really hard. But when things are regular, it will be really easy to be treated as a weapon of choice during difficulties that we have.
And you mentioned about practicing this, and it starts with I think one of the main theme of this conversation, as you mentioned, is about self-awareness. Because it becomes very important in the process of our personal change. So we need to be aware. And what you said about listening to that signal from within, and to become aware of that. To acknowledge that. And I think, not just think, I believe one of the main challenges that many people face is about being honest with yourself in that process. You probably, yes, I wanna make a change and what. But to be honest that yes, I do have these challenges, and to bring that to the surface and then start to process that
signal.
That signal. But do you see that as well?
Of course.
About this self-honesty to overcome this process, to do this process.
So something that I learned from inner relationship focusing is something that is called the protector.
The protector.
Yes. So we as a human, we have this awareness and we have this connection to the Almighty, what I believe. And if we have that connection, we have this thing called sabr. Sabr is honesty, and we have this gratefulness, and we have this patience, openness. But when our parts are operating the body, which is one of them is called the protector, it might be really hard to be honest, and really hard to be patient, really hard to be grateful, because the protectors is something that is made of bad experiences in our lives that made us feel pain, made us feel traumatized. So this protector mechanism is something that doesn't want us to feel any more pain. And sometimes it can bring a certain image that it wants, and it wants to apply that image on us. So it thinks that it will be safe from another pain.
So it has good intention.
Yes.
However, the impact can be negative.
Yes.
Okay.
So just one example. A person who is workaholic. So maybe he thinks that being able to work until 2 a.m. in the morning, or like not having to work, like not having to rest on the weekends. It thinks that this is what makes my achievements.
I'm a hard worker.
Yes, I'm a hard worker. This is what makes me rich. But one of the signs that protectors are there is when your body becomes tired and not able to rest. Talking about self-honesty, if the protector is really strong, it could say something like this: you know, being tired is very normal, because you have to be someone that is full of achievement and really rich, and people has to look up to you. So you don't have to think about resting.
It's like the voice.
Voices in the house like, it's okay lah. Just sleep for an hour or two, and don't mind the sports, don't mind the blah blah blah. So actually, this person, he actually feels that signal. I need to rest. I need to spend more time with my family. I miss my parents. They're old. I have to spend time with them. But this protector is really scared of something might happen to him if he stops being workaholic. Maybe he has this wound of being invalidated when he was a kid. Maybe. So he needs to be validated very much into a point where he feels like he has to work so much, he has to be rich with nice cars, and things like that.
Because in the past it was the validation came from being a workworkaholic in a way. So okay.
Or maybe it's being validated over just maybe a bully, or maybe parents who just wants him to have good grades,
like achievements.
Yes. And maybe when he doesn't have good grades, when he didn't have good grades, he would be invalidated. He won't be seen as someone who's like wanting to work hard. So when he grew up, the protector speaks that way. You have to really be validated in ways that he recognized. And protectors are the things that really prevents us from being honest with ourselves. But if we can admit, something in me really wants me to be a workaholic. Now that's honesty. But it's something that we really to disidentify, because sometimes we're so identified with protectors. Have you ever heard someone who said like, I'm really a workaholic. I'm the kind of person
like proud.
I'm the kind of person who cannot just stay silent and do nothing. Even though the body was like I'm so tired. Even though the body is craving for sleep. But because of that protector, we didn't think of that. We couldn't listen to that. We couldn't even acknowledge that there's something in us that's really craving for validation, into a point that it put away the needs for sleep, it put away the needs for connection, for love, for things that is intangible.
So because we have so many voices, so how can we identify? Okay, this is the voice of the protector. I don't have to listen to this voice too much. Or which one? How can I identify which voice is which?
One of the most identifying thing that we can listen to is our tiredness. Our tiredness, our anger. Protectors tend to give us big angers if it's not able to do what it wants. Like for example, we'll talk about this person. Let's say his name is John. We've been talking about John, the workaholic guy. So John, he just knew this guy from another office. They just moved to his office, and then turned out this new guy named Luke, maybe Luke turned out to be a really smart guy who the bosses loves, or like the bosses love, yeah. And then John became so frustrated because he was like, I am the one who's been here all along, and my bosses didn't see me anymore. And he went so frustrated over that Luke guy because the bosses look up to him now. And then he became so devastated. He couldn't sleep, thinking about the meetings on the next day. He couldn't eat that much, or even he binge eating. He ate a lot. Well, this is a very unhealthy pattern, right?
Yeah.
Being workaholic, and then when you fail, you went down immediately and like. So this is one of the signs of protectors.
So can I say that in a way that we need to ask, what? Correct me if I'm wrong. One of the ways that we can identify whether this is the voice of the protector or not, is if I follow this voice, will this lead me to a better mental health, or for my mental health will it improve, and spiritually would it help me as well, or physically would that lead me to a better physical health or mental health or spiritual health? Can I use that question as a guide?
Sure. And thinking about health, it's something that most people, or not most people, some people just doesn't want to think about that, you know, because like they have bigger aims other than health.
Okay, so I'm sorry to cut it, but this is just to, before you continue. So that question, okay, if I follow this voice, will it lead me to a better mental health or spiritual health or physical health? Maybe the answer is no, right? But it could also be affected by that person's definition of what success is. Does it? Is it something like that?
Yeah, sometimes protectors can be very tricky, and it can be really, it's very disguisive, like, so it's like it's hiding.
Like a master of disguise.
Yes. So the surface could be saying something like, I want to be very beneficial for other people. I want to give money to my family that are in need. Things like that. But one of the things that I can use most, if you're a spiritual person, you can say that, is this something that God loves? Is this something that God really wants? Is it something that rule-wise or like wisdom-wise, something that really is necessary? That's the first thing. And also the second thing, like being tired, being really stiff, being really temperamental, it could be signals also, because we all deserve to live a good life. In you know, thinking about good life, maybe I can say something like the feeling of being loved for however we are. Protectors, mostly they think that you don't deserve to be loved if you don't achieve something. You don't deserve to be a loved mother if you cannot be the blah 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 mother for your child. You cannot be the loved person if you don't have cars or maybe houses or maybe a husband or a wife in your life. You know, my teacher, the late Mas Reza Guna, once said that, do not attach your achievements to your worthiness.
Do not attach your achievement to your worthiness.
Yes, because they're not playing together. They're not in the same gang. Like where achievements are, there would be worthiness. No, they're not attached. You are worthy right after you're born with no achievement, even with no parent, even with no one, because you're worthy just the way you are. So protectors, most of the time they will say, you're not worthy if you don't achieve something. You're not worthy if you don't do something. Because they are so scared of you being hurt. mostly in the past. So it's like a mechanism of survival. We humans, even in our stress, we have mechanisms of survival. Yeah, then actually living with protector is very tiring.
Yeah.
Because I used to have that.
Yeah.
I used to have that. So, well, talking about this podcast, I want to be open. So hopefully it would be something that is beneficial. So I have this thing about wanting to be listened to.
Wanting to be listened to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wanting to feel like what I say is valid and important. Because maybe in the past I felt blah blah blah, you know. And actually that protector is something that brought me to this part of my life. But there was a time where I started realizing her. When after I did this content, my followers didn't go up. Oh my God, it was really tough on me. You should be doing that. You should be doing that. You know why your followers didn't go up? Because you were saying blah blah blah. Have you ever had that voices in your head? Yeah. Like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Is it good enough? Oh my God, that voice from her is so disturbing and frustrating. And then it got me so stressed out. It got me so stressed out. And my husband really know about that. So my protectors, her favorite thing is to ask things to my husband. I'm like, did I do something good? Or like, did I make a mistake? And talking about being partners, being spouses, the best thing to do is really recognize the pattern of your spouse's protectors. So we can really make room for her or for him. Because they just want to be validated. They just want us to feel okay that they are there and they have many good intentions, and no wonder they have doing that. Because maybe they have felt a lot of pain in the past and they just couldn't stand us feeling the same pain again. Yeah, and if we talk about this, it can be really sad and tearful.
Because it's like a release in a way. And I think to a certain degree, everybody still has it to a certain degree.
Yes.
But I guess what we want is that for that the voice of that protector not to dominate.
Yes.
Our thinking, at least.
Yeah.
Right? And let me ask you this then.
Sure.
To share that, how does that feel for you?
Well, it's still there. It's still there. I consider her a she because she's something that I feel like a younger me. And most of us could relate to that.
Do you have conversation with her?
Yeah. And the subject that I'm learning right now, in a relationship focusing, we have connections with those parts. So that's the way to heal. Acknowledging, accepting, loving, being compassionate. And also sometimes in my journal. In my journal, sometimes I talk to it like, how do you feel? Is it really frustrating for you? What are you so scared about? Because mostly protectors, they really want something, or either they really don't want something to happen to us. So they have that strong urge not to let us experience something, or like that urge to let us experience something. So they would feel blah blah blah. And sometimes that feeling, most of us just wants to be loved. Most of us just wants to feel safe, warm, light. Yeah, so it's actually a wonderful experience knowing these relationships to our parts. And so it means we're loving ourselves holistically, and that's why I put this term holistic health. Because if we're being healthy holistically, it means we know our parts, we know these protectors are there. Protectors can really give us pain, like literal pain, like headaches or like gastric reflux, or maybe, those aches in the body that even you do massage many times, that it's still there.
It's just like a short-term solution.
Yes, which is okay. It's fine. It's a refreshment.
Yeah.
But if you're still thinking about the same thing and pursuing the things that you think will rescue you for something you don't want to happen to, so it will be just coming back. Yeah.
And listening to what you shared, it made me think again. Another thought about this protector
Yeah.
is that it seems like this protector will tell you when you talk about our worthiness and
Yeah.
achievement, like
Yeah.
that the protector usually attach this together when
Yeah.
it's actually are not something
Yes.
that should be attached
Yes,
together. It's like it's always giving
False solutions.
like terms
Yeah,
and conditions
yeah,
in a way.
yeah,
If you want to be successful, if you want to feel worthy,
Yeah.
or even to be worthy,
yeah.
this is the thing
this is
that
the
you
term.
need to do.
Yes.
Where it's so whenever it gives the voice is telling us you are worthy if
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So that's maybe another way to
Acknowledge,
identify
yes,
that
to
this is the
identify.
voice of
Yeah.
the protector.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because you mentioned earlier that it actually has a good intention.
Yeah.
Right. It's just how it's doing it.
Yeah.
It might not be the right way, and it can have a boomerang
Yes,
effect. It can
yeah.
affect us.
Can be really unhealthy.
Unhealthy for ourselves, right? But because it has a good intention,
Yeah.
maybe the better way to cope with it is not to fight it,
Yeah.
but to kind of embrace it and
Yeah.
have a good relationship in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really correct. We can never fight our parts or push them away, or like okay, just go away from my body or go away from my mind. The more you fight it, the more it will be stronger and wanting to be seen. Like if you're closing the door like and then you're closing the door and then you're like, oh, I don't want to listen to you. What they will do, they will smash the door. Right? And the more they smash the door, the more painful it will be for you. So being compassionate, being kind, because they have good intention, is one of the keys to deal with the protector. Me, myself, I embrace the protector that wants me to be listened. Because, thank you, you give so much wisdom, you give so much good experience for me. I wouldn't be able to be here if you weren't there. But now, you can rest, you can relax, you've done all you've done, and I thank you for that. And sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But if she showed up, I can hello, I know you're there. Hi. Hi, okay, so what's your intention? You're here, you're trying to protect me from something, what's your intention? And I was silent, I would listen to it. Sometimes I imagine, I visualize me being with her. Her is a younger me, maybe a teenage me. She looks like a teenage me, 5th grade Prisya. And I sit with her and okay, so you're trying to protect me with something. What is harmful in your opinion now? This is harmful because if you do this, if you rest, if you relax, then you wouldn't be able to study, and if you don't study, you will blah blah blah. Okay, I understand. And no wonder you've been doing that. No wonder. Because you don't want me to feel what? You don't want me to feel, I don't want you to feel like you are low and inadequate. Oh, okay. Okay. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. You don't want me to feel inadequate. Thank you. So, it's okay. You can be here for as long as you need to be.
What makes you feel or think that way? That if I didn't do this, or if I don't do that, then it's gonna be bad for me. Having those kind of conversations to know where this voice actually, what's the root.
It's so we can do that. We can do that if the time is right. So that's what I do with my clients these days. I help them to listen to themselves, and mostly their parts, their protectors. Sometimes we have protectors, 2 or 3 protectors sometimes. It depends on our experiences and how we are raised, how we are treated. So it's not a bad thing. Everything that is in our body, it all has their own roles and purposes. So it's all, if it's still there, it still have a benefit. for us. So knowing them and accepting them means accepting yourself. So really knowing yourself, it means really knowing the parts that you have, really knowing the mechanisms in your body that shows up when you feel a certain trigger. So yeah, it gives a lot of awareness, and when you're able to listen to your body like this, you will have more skill in listening to others as well, to your spouse, especially when you're connecting with their protectors, because their way is the same. Their way is the same to how you talk to your own protector, and also to children. Actually, our protectors, they tend to work like the minds of children. But if we can give the right acknowledgement, the right compassion, the right kind of love to the children that we have, it will go away. Like, I don't need this protector. I don't need her to be here anymore because I'm safe.
Because you feel safe, you don't need
Because I'm safe. My parents give me that safety. So I don't have to have this protector. But if we're giving more unsafety, unsafe feeling, so it will stay there. That's why children heal much faster than adults.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Can you share again? Thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is amazing. But throughout your journey, what are the most powerful insights or learnings that you've gained so far?
Yeah. So still connected to protectors. Have you ever heard of transgenerational trauma?
Yeah.
It's something that maybe we didn't know where it came from, but it's there. The feeling is there. So it means protectors can be inherited. Yeah. And maybe this insight is for you who are already parents, you have kids. Sometimes if you have a very triggering situation with your children, just try to listen to yourself. If he or she is doing a similar thing with your protector. Yeah, I have one example. So there's this client that I have. She has a boy who's very temperamental. So he attacked his friends. He was very harsh to his friends. And all the mother could do is blame him. Why do you have to do that? Because he feels inadequate. She doesn't want to feel like she's unable to be a good mom, and she doesn't want to feel blamed for her son, right? But turned out, after the parents listened more to this son, this boy, so it turned out that there was always something that triggered him. Like maybe a friend said something bad to him. Maybe his peers at school make fun of him. So he didn't want to be blamed because there was a trigger. And it kept happening again and again and again. So the mother, she tried to listen to herself. Because our children is really projecting our thinking, our feeling, right? And it turned out that this mother, she has this wound of being blamed because she always tried to speak up whenever something toxic is happening in her family. Nobody was saying anything. It was just something that everyone's too scared to speak about. But she always spoke up about it. And then at the end, she became blamed. And the thing that she really wanted at that time was just, it's okay, I understand what you're thinking, You're just being angry because things are not working well for you. You don't feel safe in the family, and it's okay. No wonder you feel and you react that way. So she realized this connection between her not wanting to be blamed because of speaking up to her family of the toxicity in the house, with her son that has the blame because he reacted to people who make fun of him.
Yeah, so this is like the generational thing.
So the mother finally said to her son something that she really wants to hear when she was a kid. I understand you're doing this because of the toxicity around you. No wonder you're doing that. It must be really hard for you to be angry like that. And it's fine. I understand. And the son stops doing that. Protectors, inherited, and this maternal bond, it's related to one another. Even it's a boy, female, or male, because we all are connected to this maternal bond, right? To our ancestors. And if we heal our protector, if we heal our trauma or wound, it actually can remove the burden of our ancestors.
And stop the cycle from keep going.
So stopping the cycle, it actually reduces the burden of our ancestors in their afterlife. Like, can you imagine that? Because it's because of what they did. So when you stop one thing, like one thing that is still happening now, it stops all the cycle all the way to our ancestors. So it's very important to stay healthy holistically.
I mean, like throughout this conversation, I just realized my body language has been like, and then like, I feel like refreshed and like, but I think a lot of people who are listening to this can very much relate one way to another.
Hopefully.
Maybe one or two last questions.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you think is important to share, but I haven't asked you yet?
Seek for guidance. Because sometimes it can be really heavy for you. All the things that I talked about, talking about holistic health and how mental burdens could lead to physical burdens, and knowing protectors and effects of the protectors to your family, to your own self. Sometimes it can be too much to bear. So seek guidance, and sometimes the best thing to seek guidance from is from the Almighty, from God, or whatever that you believe. For me, I seek help from God, from Allah, because sometimes it's too much to bear. But I realize that this relationship with myself is one of the trials. It's one of the biggest trials that He gave for me. But it's making me who I am now. It all does nothing but good things that help me release more potential and hopefully give more purpose and more good things that I can spread to others.
And where can people find your work if people want to know more about you?
Actually, I'm really working on writing about this, but let's so hopefully I will read this first and hope I can follow your path, Mas Ali. You can follow me on mindrevive.id.
Mindrevive.id in Instagram?
Yes, on Instagram. And you can also follow me on YouTube. It's Raden Prisya, but most of them are in Indonesian.
But do you also provide like sessions or public group or private?
Yes, I provide corporate sessions also for communities and for individuals. I have individual clients. I help them realize the patterns in themselves and also help them acknowledge and hopefully can heal. And if you want to know more about what I talked about, you can research about Dr. Gabor Mate's work. He has a lot of books that shows the relation between mental health and physical health. And talking about protectors, you can check Inner Relationship Focusing. So my teacher, her name is Anne Weiser Cornell. and she's a book author also. So focusing is really amazing. You can check them out if you want to learn more about focusing. And hopefully, if I really want to bring focusing into Indonesian language. So.
And do you also provide like private sessions when if
Yes.
it's like in English as well for
Yeah,
those who doesn't
of
speak
course,
Indonesian?
of course. Yeah, I
And they
provide
can-
sessions in English as well, and we can meet through Zoom from whatever which country you are.
And they can contact you directly from
From my
your
Instagram, and also from this link bit.ly / mindrevive.id.
bit.ly
Sorry, bit.ly / mindrevive. Yeah.
mindrevive.
Yes.
Okay, let's
Write this down
make
here.
this in the screen. Okay.
Okay.
Raden Prisya, thank you so very much for your time, your energy, and your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom for sharing with me, and not just me, with everybody who's watching this, who are listening to this. Again, it's been a great honor to learn from you. It has impacted my own personal growth, personal well-being, and I'm very sure, inshallah, it will also help everybody who's listening as well.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.